To say that we've seen mistakes from Disney Star Wars over the last decade plus of Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm would probably be an understatement. It's been a mess. It's been a nightmare. And in some cases, it's been an outright disaster, especially with some of these newer streaming shows that have come out after the disappointment that was the sequel trilogy. But as bad as some of these things have been, for a lot of people, they're looking to the horizon and they say the worst might be coming down the pipeline still, because the Acolyte is coming. A lot of people wanted to pretend like it wasn't happening, that Kathleen Kennedy's hiring of Leslye Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, by the way, a lot of people try to pretend that was never happening, that it'll never get made. Well, it has been made. It's ongoing right now. It will eventually come out. And the Acolyte looks like it's going to be a nightmare. From the very announcement we heard, the only thing they said was going to be female-focused, because of course it was. But the more we found out about who's involved, about Leslye Headland herself, about what she thinks about Star Wars, about what the cast and crew thinks about Star Wars, how they think there really is no good or evil. They think Star Wars is just a story about the patriarchy, and they're really happy to finally represent women in Star Wars. It's a joke. But the most recent interview from Leslye Headland once again told us exactly what this series is going to be, that it's going to be full of identity politics, and that it's going to be exactly what Kathleen Kennedy wants for Lucasfilm and for Disney Star Wars. Why Star Wars The Acolyte is focusing heavily on female villains. The Acolyte showrunner Leslye Headland reveals her personal motivation for spotlighting female baddies in the upcoming Star Wars show. Again, keep in mind that Leslye Headland, former Harvey Weinstein personal assistant, who deleted hundreds of tweets the day before it was announced that she was going to be part of Lucasfilm, she's gay. She's queer. I don't know if you knew that or not. If you've ever listened to Leslye Headland, that would be perfectly apparent. But that apparently is the reason she's making all the decisions in this show, because she wants it to reflect her and her alone. Just like so many of these social justice activists, this is a nightmare. Headland discussed the Acolyte's baddie-centric approach to storytelling in an interview with Empire, revealing it was her experience as a pop culture fan growing up. When I was a young queer girl, just keep in mind how many times she talks about being a queer girl or a queer woman in this interview. Quote, "When I was a young queer girl, I was just hanging out with Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid," she said. As a queer girl growing up, if you don't identify with the heroes and the villains show up, they're all queer-coded, you're like, yes, that's me. Headland also touched on how this will affect the Acolyte's tone, hinting the show will offer a more arc vibe than Star Wars fans are used to. As a queer filmmaker, you're going to see some camp in The Acolyte, inevitably. But I would say that tonally, our references are darker, she teased. This is apparently the reason that she decided to include so many female villains, because she's queer and she wants to show other queer people, other queer women in Star Wars. That's it. That's the reason she decided to do this. Not because she thought it would be best for the characters, not because she thought it would tell a compelling story. These people are completely motivated by agenda and identity politics. When you hire fucking activists like this is what you can expect. The Acolyte is said to be a nightmare. Of all the things that were announced at Star Wars Celebration, and there was a lot of negativity surrounding some of the things that came out of that, despite what Lucasfilm and the media would like you to think. The thing that consistently got ratio time after time was anything involving Leslye Headland or the Acolyte. Nearly every interview for the stars of the Acolyte talking about this bullshit, having no idea what Star Wars is actually about, or interviews with Leslye Headland and cringe intros like this.
Star Wars series, The Acolyte. Here to talk about it is executive producer Leslye Headland.
Since she's queer, I don't know if I mentioned that before. Since she's queer, she needs to reference drag queens in this intro.
That was a catwalk. That was fashion show worthy.
Yeah, I just try to treat everything as if we're on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's kind of like my...
Sounds like she fits in perfectly at Disney, doesn't it? And of course, you can see this has been ratioed 3,000 dislikes to 700 likes. Pathetic pathetic from Disney Star Wars, but this is what you can expect. And the more she talks about this, the more you realize why she was hired, why this woman specifically was hired, and what this show is going to be about. It's going to be a cringe disaster, but that is essentially Lucasfilm at this point in time. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.